Assalamualaikum and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Muhammad Haziq and my groupmates are Aizat, Hazman, Solihin, Pavitra, Saidi, Azliani and Sophia Hani. And we are from group the Plastikos. And we are here to present about the microplastic pollution in marine life. So before we start our talk session, I would like to introduce our panels, which are myself, Haziq, second panel, Saidi, third panel, and is Muhammad Isaac. Okay, so next, what are microplastic? Microplastic is a plastic that that cannot be biodegraded. Instead, they break down into tiny pieces uh, that which are consumed by the fish. Here, we can see when we see the tiny pieces in the digestive system of the fish, and it can lead to harm to human also because consume the fish to we consume the fish. And next the primary and versus the secondary microplastic. The primary microplastics that can be found in the personal care and the cosmetic products, such as the industrial abrasive cosmetics and the beads. And the secondary microplastic, which are made of the largest pieces from the primary, break down into the smaller pieces. It can be said the image here, the picture here, from the plastic garbage, uh, it's taken down to the ocean and process the chemical process and into the microplastic. And next the sources of the microplastic. So most of the microplastic came from the microbeads from the personal product. From the picture here, we can see that most of the picture here is man-made human products, which are bottles, plastic, clothes, uh, needles, hygiene products, and many more. And next the effect of microplastic in marine biota. So the first one is the benthic organisms. So what is the benthic organism? Benthic organism is like clams, worm. The picture here shows that the clams, worm, or oyster, and the shrimp lights. So the benthic organisms consume tiny pieces such as tiny as 400 to 1300 micrometer. The translocation of microplastic from the digestive system into the circulation system has been reported, which remain 48 days following the exposure. So about 1 month, the the microplastic have been found in the digestive system of the bacterial organisms. And then shore crabs have
Yes,
been
yes.
shown to ingest via the gills and also through the eating blue masses pre-exposed to microplastic. And the next one is the large marine animals, such as the marine mammals and the turtles. Large marine animals such as sea turtle and mammal like whales or like whales and baleen whales. Most of them are directly hurt by the plastic microplastic. For example, in Brazil, that showed 60.5% of the turtle had marine debris in their digestive system. Most of them are plastic. They also and another report showed the marine mammals found that having a lot of man-made substances in their gut of often the plastic, and they're also very vulnerable to many of the hazardous chemical associated with plastics. and mostly contain high contaminated harmful contaminants. Next one, fish. Microplastic usually from fish samples were fiber fragments and the pellets. The fish that are consumed, the microplastic become malnourished and stuffed. And most of the microplastics chemically cause muscle and gill lipid peroxidation damage and neutrosity through lipid oxidative damage. This can cause the decreasing in fish individual fitness with potential negative effect at population level. And the next one, the seabirds. The seabirds also have shown the effect of the microplastic. In the 1990, almost 30% of the microplastic found in the seabird were industrial pellets. Plastic particle may be eaten mistakenly and intentionally or ingested secondly when the hidden within a food item. Plastic ingestion not only pose a health risk relating to feeding inhibition and subsequent starvation, but also expose the seabird to contaminants associated with the plastic. Toxic that carried by the ingested microplastic can be absorbed into body tissue, uh, such as the chemicals estrogen mimicals that can cause the reproductive problems. And so the next one, Saidi will show how the solution to water pollution.
Okay. Thank you, Haziq. Yeah, Assalamualaikum and good night, everyone. My name is Ahmad Saidi Shuib bin Amir Atifi, and I will talk about the solution to water pollution by microplastic. Okay, in slide, we can see that there are three combination 1, combination 2, and combination 3. So tonight, I will talk about the combination 3 because it has the higher microplastic reduction compared to the combination 1 and combination 2. So in the combination 3, there are contain 4 type of the solution, which are drinking water treatment, constructed wetlands, secondary WWTP, or secondary wastewater treatment process, and number 4 is filtering device on waste machine. I will explain one by one about the combination 3. Next slide. So first is drinking water treatment using live straw. So live straw is used for the water filtration. How it works is we need to get a microplastic sources such as bottled water or glass bottle. It has been tested that 99.9% microplastic are removed by using the live straw when drinking water from the bottle types. Um, this picture show the live straw. Okay, how we use it? How we use that? At the top of the live straw, the place we put our mouth to drink the water. At the bottom, we need to open it and put in the water or bottle water, and we can drain it. The smaller microparticle reported detected in the ocean are 1.6 micron in diameters, while the State University in New York state that the smaller plastic particle measure has size of 6.5 microns. So in the Lystro filter has a maximum pore size of 0.2 micron. So we can filter the micro particles using the Lystro. So I think it is a good enough if all of us have one of the Lystro in our house. We can use it everywhere and every time, such as when we want to go to camping, picnic or hiking. If you want to know, we can get this live straw in the Shopee or Lazada. I think the price is around 50 to 60 ringgit. I can remember it. So it's very good because this brand it can filter a maximum 4,000 liter of water and enough for one person and can be used in 3 years. Okay, next. Next is constructed wetlands. Constructed wetlands is an artificial wetlands to treat the municipal or industrial wastewater, grey water or stormwater. It also can be designed for land reclamation. Okay, constructed wetland engineer system that use natural function, vegetation, soil and organism to treat the wastewater. Okay, there are two types of the constructed wetlands, such as subsurface flow and surface flow. In the picture, we saw that there is subsurface flow, and the name of the system is the schematic of the horizontal subsurface flow. Okay. In the subsurface flow, construction wetland, the flow of the wetland occur between the roots of the aquatic plants, and there are no water surfacing. So when no water surfacing, the system is more efficient and also does not attract by the mosquito and less sensitive to the water condition. It also cost effective and technically flexible approach to the treating polluted water, and it also easily operate and maintain potential to become a good alternative to conventional treatment technologies. Remove high level of the small and rather large microplastic is the very good. And lastly, low cost of the operation, but land requirement is high to read this system. Next. Next is a secondary WWTP or secondary wastewater treatment process. Okay. Secondary treatment is to remove the soluble organic matters that escape from the primary treatment. The picture, we have three treatment. First three is the primary, and for 4 and 5 is secondary, and lastly is tertiary treatment. So it also remove more of the suspended solid, removal of the soluble organic matter of the treatment plant help to protect the dissolved oxygen balance of a recovery stream, river or lakes. There are contain three process. First is activate slugger or AS that contain biochemical oxygen demands, BOD, and total suspended solids TSS is around 80 to 90%. For the second process is lagoons, BOD and TSS is around 70 to 90%. And for third is mixer added lagoons. For BOD, the percentage is around 70 to 95. For TSS, the percentage is around 80 to 90. And in this case, activation slugger is the more efficient process in removal of the microplastic by wastewater treatment plants at the secondary treatment, since it has the higher percentage of BOD and TSI removal compared to other process. Okay, next. Okay, for the last solution, a filtering device on the washing machine. For microplastic sources, we use a microfiber on the clothing. Okay, there are two, Corabol and Luft-Up filter. Okay, for Corabol capture less than 30% of microfiber, while Luft-Up filter capture 87% of the microfiber in the wash. So let's see how it works. For the Corabol, we just drop or throw it into the washing machine and wash our clothes as usual. It's easy to clean. But Coral ball go around the laundry and just like a coral, allow water to flow while picking up those little pieces of the microfiber and catching them in the stock. The coral ball design is not only collect the microfiber, and it also to prevent our clothes from breaking up. For the lift up filter, removing lint and untreatable synthetic solid from the washing machine discharge. So the washing machine discharge hose adapts to the inlet port of the lift out. Discharge passes through the filter to the outlet port, leaving behind lid on the outside of the stream. A hose direct filter discharge from the outlet port. The washing machine dry pin and okay, the hose direct the filter discharge from the outlet port into the washing machine, dry pin and on the septic system. As we see, there are two types. We can the cost of the roof up filter is more expensive for the coral ball. I think coral ball is just around 20 ringgit Malaysia. Okay. There are four solution to water pollution by microplastic, and I will pass to Aizat to continue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Saidi, for the speech of your part. So we will continue for our part, continue for my part. So I will talk about how to reduce this microplastic consumption using the 3R method, 3R concept. So basically, most of you should know this. The 3R concept is reduce, reuse, and recycle. So basically, reduce, reuse, and recycle is how we implement this method to reduce the consumption. But what you might not know is how the order of this concept is. Maybe some of you think reuse is the first step or recycle is the first step, but the first step is reduce. So the second one is reuse, and the final step is the recycle. So why we are choosing this concept? Because we use plastic every day, and it's very useful in our daily life. So this plastic make our life incredibly convenient, disposable, and easy. But most people rarely think about the effect it has on the environment. So plastic is really affect to our environment, and they have many type of pollution based on the plastic itself. And if it's breakdown, but in the landfill, it takes up to 400 years. Worse, it doesn't ever become other materials. It just break into microplastic pieces of plastic that are still non-biodegradable. So plastic is really hard to break. It takes to 100 years or maybe 1,000 years to break. And even if it's break, it will break into a fragment of a microplastic, and it still affect the environment, especially the ocean life, the aquatic life. So next. Okay, as you know, we have reduce, reuse, and recycle. So the first step of this concept 3R is the reduce. So basically, reduce is an effective way to reduce the plastic pollution. It's not create plastic in the first place. So for this thing is basically to reduce the plastic pollution, it's better for us to not use this plastic. Means that we don't need to consume this plastic. Okay, so that's what it means. So the second one is sure, it's great to recycle a plastic water bottle after you are done with it. So it's great to recycle the bottle. So third one is much better to never use it in the first place. So as I said before, eliminating the extraction of materials from the earth, energy used to manufacture it, and fuels to transport it to whenever it will be sold. So next is you might be surprised on how little thought you devote to your plastic use. So this plastic we did not know how our consumption of plastic can really greatly affect our environment. Next is the straw in your water at a sit-down restaurant. So this is an example, like your deodorant tube, extra plastic bags for your practice, plastic bag for your produce, and even the plastic wrap your sandwich. It can be avoided with enough planning. So be mindful of what you are using and where it is going after you are finished with it, and look for products that use less packaging. Okay, next one is reuse. So reuse is the next step. If you are like most people, it's difficult to make it through your day without acquiring same form of plastic. That's where reuse comes in. So we reuse the plastic produce bag for sandwich, plastic groceries, bags for small trash bags, and reuse your plastic silverware. So most people skip this step and go directly to recycling, but reusing plastic can reduce the demand for new plastic to be created. Think about how you can do it more. So reuse is a second step, but most people skip this step because they thought recycle is better. But in fact, reuse is supposed to be a more effective way than recycle. And the last step will be recycle. So after we have reused the plastic bag many times and get ready to dispose, we will be recycle the plastic into the trash. So recycle take less energy than making plastic from raw materials. Next, remember the biggest impact is made by avoiding plastic in the first place. As what I said before, uh, it's better to not use plastic rather than reduce, reuse, and recycle. But plastic is essential in our daily life, but so we need to use it, and this concept come after that. And if that cannot be done, reuse and recycle are the next best step. And be conscious of the amount of plastic material you are using, okay? And then try to replace plastic with something more sustainable whenever possible. And then the last point will be the enough people taking this simple step can help reduce plastic pollution and keep our planet clean and healthy for future generations. So it's not about ourselves, but most people we need to other people also need to know how to use this. How this knowledge need to know. Next, next, next slide. Okay. After we know the step to recycle plastic, we must know the type of plastic that we can recycle. So there are a few types of plastic we can recycle. So this is, if you can see here, the a triangle symbol with a number in it is actually a symbol in the plastic to symbolize what type of plastic that can be recycled and that cannot be recycled. So the first one is basically the PET, which is polyethylene terephthalate, which is the recyclable plastic. So this is mostly widely recycled. It's often used for single-use clear plastic bottle, such as our plastic bottle, mouthwash bottles, and yogurt pots. So if you can see, if you want to see where the label is, you can see at the bottom of the plastic bottle, it could be labeling like triangle, and then they have like number one in that triangle. So that symbolize that can be recycled, and that will be the PET type. So the second one is HDPE, the high density polyethylene. This is recyclable plastic, but we need to check the local authority because some of them might have a different type of the type of the HDPE, what HDPE is. So this one is recycled also. And then the example in this is like milk jugs, shampoo bottles, bleach bottles, and margarine tubs. So it's the same if you want to know if this a second one a second one HDPE plastic, you can check the shampoo bottles. Below the shampoo bottles, you will see that there's a symbol there, which is mean that it can be recycled. So the third one will be the PVC, the polyvinyl chloride is a non-recyclable plastic. So this is non-recyclable plastic in basically normal collection. So some of the examples that I think supposed to be is the plastic pipes, table protectors, hoses, and clinch film. Okay, so this is the type of plastic that we use to, when construct a house, like plastic pipe, such as that. So most of this plastic is non-recyclable. The fourth one will be the LDPE, low density polyethylene. It's a recyclable plastic, but again, we need to check the local authority also. And this is hard flexible plastic. And then the example is the bread bags, frozen food bags, and also squeezable bottles such as hand cream tubes. And last but not least, it will be the PP, which is the polypropylene, which is recyclable plastic. Check the local authority. And the example we can get is such as plastic straws, ketchup bottles, and also plastic peanut ware. So that's all for the type of plastic that we can cycle. And I think we are close to our conclusion of this talk. So before we end this session, we will have a Q&A session for our audience to ask questions to the panels. So is there any question?
Okay, so for the first question, plastic pollution is a global problem. How do we know if the food, water, and air are contaminated with microplastic? So, in my opinion, we need to do the research that actually samples the individual food and drink items that commonly consumed by our people. So by this way, we can identify the number of microplastic particles in each, and then see how much the average of a person consume the contaminated of microplastics. Another question?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello, I'm Vega. I have a question here.
Okay.
Okay, where can we detect the sources of microplastic other than in domestic industry?
Okay, I will answer that question. Actually, we can detect the microplastic other in the commercial industry in the sewage treatment plant, car and truck tire, or in a manufacturing, fishing industry, even in the face mask, and also from the packaging or shipping. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. So in the chat box, what are the types of the polymer in the microplastic? So the majority of the identified microplastics were fibers, and the rest were the fragments. Materials were identified as polymers commonly used in the consumer products such as polyethylene, polypropylene, and polyethylene and terephthalate. And the fourth question, what animals are most affected by the microplastics? Uh,
The animals that most affected by microplastics in the marine life is turtle and birds, because this microplastic will block their digestive tracts, and also will diminish the urge of to eat and feeding behavior. So all of this will reduce the growth and the reproductive output of the turtle and birds. So their stomach will suffer with plastic, and if you get worse, some species will starve and die. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Saidi.
Okay.
So, any other question?
Are there any other question?
Hi, I'm Divya. I have a question.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, are there any health impact to human if we eat seafood contaminated with microplastics?
Oh, okay. I think I will answer that. So basically, I'm not sure about this statement or not. I think I've heard it in since we are doing this topic in microplastic. So while I'm doing that, I think I read a few of websites say that they found out that the accumulated plastic could damage the immune system and also upset the gut's balance. And I think the scientists, I think, are scrambling to understand the dose at which the microplastics start to have noticeable health effects to human. Means that they will have a certain dose that will affect the human. If we like rarely eating the seafood that have contaminated with microplastic, I think it's okay if you like maybe like once a month, maybe it's okay. But if you have reached the dose of the microplastic, the scientists, I think, said that it might have effect to our human. I hope they're answering your question.
Okay, thank you for your answer.
Okay.
Okay, so for the sixth question, relating to the previous question, is there any way to detect the microplastic in food?
Oh, okay. So how we detect microplastic in food? Uh, Actually, the food here is it could be in aquatic life, most commonly because we are talking about the effect to our marine life. So mostly it's like fish, seafood, something like that. I think we could use the Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy, FTIR. I think this one it's about the method here. This is what I found based on the method that we doing this. So basically, this absorb energy by the chemical compound present in the sample. Means that in the sample of the food, maybe they do some research in it. The sample of food, they absorb the energy by the chemical compound. So the energy then recorded to create a spectrum with the individual peaks. Means that the energy that will be absorbed will be recorded to create a spectrum. This means this is like this term is kind of like a bit hard to understand, but this is what I found from the research and the journal. So this spectrum actually will corresponding to a specific bond in a chemical compound. So as I can conclude from this, which means that this FTIR, Fourier transform infrared spectroscopy, is used by basically a scientist to determine the microplastic in food. But us as as normal people, normal as citizens, we do not know how to detect it using a simple method. So the best way is um, to avoid this type of food that have microplastic, specifically in the marine life, because this microplastic have a great impact to the marine life, and marine life is the majority of what food have the microplastic.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Aizat. So for the next question, I wanna ask two questions. The first questions, are there any laws or regulations regarding this microplastic pollution? And the second question, can you share the figure of the number of microplastic in the ocean until today?
Okay, I answer the question number one
Okay.
from the Ifan. Thank you for asking. Okay, there are any law regarding to microplastic pollution? Actually, there are many law, but I just take one example. In Malaysia, generally on the plastic pollution, Malaysia roadmap to zero single-use plastic 2080 until 2030, which is banning of plastic straw, single-use plastic bag, and others. So this is the way we want to reduce the plastic pollution. For example, we ban the plastic straw. If we go to McDonald's and when we buy the water and we cannot get the plastic straw. This is the one way that we need to do to reduce the plastic pollution. Okay. For the second question, can you share the figure of the number of microplastic in the ocean until today? Okay. Today is the last day in 2020. So around 50 trillions microplastic in until 2020. So around 1,065 million ton of plastic in the ocean around the globe now, the global now. So on average, we can take example as one garbage truck of the plastic is dumped into the sea every minute. Can you imagine it? Yeah. In
That's a
answer
lot of
your
plastic.
question.
Yes. Okay.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you, Saidi. I think we have come to our last part, which is the question and answer. And next one. So for the participant that joined our talk, I would like to thank you for joining this talk, and I also thank you to my group mates because they also involved in the making the slide and the poster and many more. And I think that's all from us. Thank you. So
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Thank you to
Okay, thank
everyone.
you. Thank you everyone.
Thank you
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy New Year. Happy